All right, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and figure out how to get started with QuickBooks Online. So we're going to start from the very beginning. And you'll get to this page by going to claracfo.com/QBO. And then you'll get to this accounting page. And what you should be seeing, and if you're not seeing it, you might want to try clearing your cookies, but you should be seeing this 30-day trial plus it's a 30% discount for 12 months. And this is the deal that we're going to get started with. So we're going to go ahead and click try it for free. We're going to go ahead and create a Intuit account. So you'll enter in your email address and your mobile number, and you'll create a password, and you'll go ahead and sign up with an email. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so once you go ahead and set up your account, you're going to be redirected to a setup screen. And so I actually went ahead and set up my account with an existing account. But still, it doesn't have anything already answered for me. So we're going to go ahead and make up a new company, and we're going to call it the Clara Consulting Company, just to make it easy. Okay, let's go ahead and click next. So what do you call your business? We're going to do Clara Consulting Company. And I'm going to go ahead and check that this is my legal business name. And we're just setting this up as a trial. But you will go ahead and put in your business name and check whether or not it's your legal name. They'll probably give you the option to do a DBA if not. This is where you can either start completely from scratch, or it can walk you through the steps if you already have a QuickBooks desktop. If you're coming from Sage Peachtree or another bookkeeping software, if you've had spreadsheets or something else, you can go ahead and click which option you have. We're going to go ahead and just get started from scratch today. And then this is where it'll start to ask you questions about the business. So let's do 1 to 2 years. Next. What kind of business? It is an LLC. I'm going to say that this business is an LLC. It's taxed as a sole proprietor for the purposes of this walkthrough. And then look at that. It gives you the option to tell you how you're taxed. So when you're an LLC, you'll either be taxed as a sole proprietor, a partnership, or these other options. So usually what we see most often is that you're either a sole proprietor or taxed as an S corp. If you don't know, you can skip over this and you can set this up later. But if you do know, you can go ahead and make the selection now. And then this kind of industry option, this is going to, it doesn't really matter, except for they will potentially change your chart of accounts slightly. So I would go ahead and just try to get as close as you possibly can. So if I put in something like consulting here, let's see what it comes up. Marketing consulting, I'm going to put other management consulting services. And then what is my role? So who is actually setting this up? Is this you as the business owner? Then you'd go owner as partner. Is this an employee of the business, or is this an external bookkeeper, an accountant, or maybe even a consultant, outside consultant? I'm going to go ahead and put this as the owner. And then this will give you the option of starting to potentially have certain other add-ons. So if I'm a sole proprietor, I don't have anybody else, I can say I fly solo, or if I have employees, I can add that. You can tell them how many people you have working for you. If you have contractors, you can also you can select multiple ones here. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to say I fly solo and I plan to hire in the future. We'll help you connect if you help. Okay, so let's go ahead and say yes. It says, great, you can invite your accountant or bookkeeper to work with you. Wonderful. What apps do you use in your business? So I would actually recommend not connecting any apps at this point. The most problems I see from people having issues with QuickBooks is connecting PayPal. PayPal actually has some it can be tricky, and you need to make sure you set it up correctly. So even if you use PayPal, I actually say maybe don't connect it right at the very beginning. It's not a great way to kind of get settled and get started with everything. What you want to do is kind of get into the flow of the bookkeeping, talk to your bookkeeper before you decide whether or not you're going to connect PayPal. I actually would recommend that for most of these apps. I did do a video on connecting Amazon Business, but I would hold off on connecting anything right when you're first getting started. So let's go ahead and select skip for now. Now this is a place that you can link your bank account. So I highly recommend linking these things. So skip over the apps, but do connect all bank accounts that you have and any credit cards. Credit cards kind of act like a bank account, so you want to make sure that you're including them in getting them actually connected, because that live stream of transactions is going to be coming into your QuickBooks account, and you want to make sure that all those expenses are actually being captured. So we're going to go ahead and click link account so you can see what you need to be able to do that. And we'll just kind of step through something real quick. I'm not going to live connect any of these, but I just kind of want to show you. So let's just say you have a Chase account. You would go to Chase and then you would click continue, and then it will actually pop up and give you the option to log in to this account. So you can go ahead and actually do that directly. So it is using a secure connection, so you don't need to worry about anything as far as security goes. It is a read-only access that you're giving to QuickBooks so that they can pull these transactions. They have zero ability to actually affect anything on your account. So you would go through this process where you connect one by one, where you connect any credit cards. Sometimes, let's just say you have 3 bank accounts and 2 credit cards with one organization. Sometimes you can just do one login and it will pull all of those accounts, and you can check which ones you want to pull. Now, the big thing is if you have any personal accounts also tied to business accounts, let's say Chase, you have a personal account and you have an account you just use for business and maybe a personal credit card and a business credit card, uncheck anything that is only personal, because you do not want to pull that into QuickBooks. You only want to pull in anything that is directly related to your business. So you'll go ahead and connect those accounts. And then we're going to keep going on this. So now it's asking how we do our receipts. So it's kind of gathering some data for us. They're probably going to be selling to you down the road. So just kind of be aware that this is fact gathering, but it's also kind of they're also tailoring what else they might offer to you. So you might say, okay, I save my receipts digitally. And it says we have a better way to help you do that, which they do. You can attach everything digitally. You save paper and digital. You have paper receipts. They have options to get things digitized and get them attached to your transactions. Or you can say, I don't save receipts at all. And I'm just going to go ahead and click that for now. Although that would be very bad of me because I should be saving receipts. All right, keep your receipts to maximize your deductions. Okay, this is a good example of where they're giving a recommendation. They're saying, yeah, you should be keeping your receipts. And this is a way you can get their mobile app, and then anytime you make a transaction, you can just easily put it into the app and it will add it to your QuickBooks. So this is a way that they are offering you and kind of walking you through the product services. All right. So now it's saying, how do you intend on using QuickBooks? And this is probably one of the more important screens to really think through. So no need to rush this right now, but the biggest thing is you want to think about how do you want to use it? Do you want to be invoicing directly in the system? Do you want to use it to track time? Will you be paying bills out of the system and like managing them when they come in? Are you going to actually put them into the accounting system and then pay them? Do you have inventory to manage? Do you need other things like sales tax help? Or do you actually need insurance? Do you need to be able to create estimates or quotes? This might be a time where you can think through, how do I want to use QuickBooks? Right? Maybe right now you're using a separate app for invoices. Maybe you want to move all your invoices to QuickBooks. So you'll definitely want to say send and track invoices. Absolutely. Do I want to accept payments by credit card and ACH? Yes, I do. I also want to be able to pay my bills. I do want to be able to send estimates, but honestly, like in my business, let's just say for Clara Consulting, we do all of our proposals and everything outside of the system, and we're not sending them through QuickBooks. So I'm going to leave that unchecked for now. We have a separate system for time tracking, so I'm going to say I'm not going to track time at this point in time. I have no inventory because I'm consulting. I don't really have anything to sell apart from my time and the invoices, so I'm not going to track sales. I already have business insurance. I am going to manage sales tax, and maybe I'll track mileage deductions, for example. Okay, so now it's going to have us start getting these things set up. So getting an invoice template set up is really great. You can customize it. You can upload a logo. You can do lots of things as far as like what you want to see on the invoice. So let's go ahead and set that up real quick. Now, I'm not going to go through everything here, so I'm just going to do a quick, really quick, let's just say make it this nice, pretty kind of teal color. I would upload a logo, and then I could send a fake one to myself if I want to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click send. Okay, so this is actually what that looks like when it comes from the system. So this is what your customer would be seeing if they get that invoice. And then they will also receive a PDF copy. So this is where you can test it. You can, upload your logo. You can actually go in and change, what you want to be, you can go in here and change how you want your address to be shown. You can even change the formats. They actually have lots of different ways that you can customize invoices. So, you can get as specific as you want here. You can put a little note at the bottom. You can put in different products and services and descriptions, and you can also show units, quantity, and a total extended amount. So there really is lots of different ways to show things on these invoices. But we're going to go ahead and click next. You can spend lots of time making your invoice exactly what you want it to look like. You can set up payments. So this is another thing I highly recommend getting set up if you're going to be invoicing in the system. In order to do this, it does take a couple days because they will make a small deposit into your bank account and you need to go in and verify those amounts. So you will need to put in all of your business information, and I'm not going to do that because I'm making up a fake business, and I believe you need to put in an EIN number. If I don't see it there, you will need to put in some personally identifiable information. See, here's a social security number. So in order to, accept payments, you are going to have to give a little bit more information. And then when you get into payment deposit info, then you'll put in your bank account information. You do not need to use a QuickBooks checking account, okay? So you will add a checking account instead, and this is where you can directly link to it. And you should be able to get your account connected. I think there's a way to manually set up the account if for some reason you can't get a direct linkage, okay? So you would just go ahead and click Get Set Up when all of that is done. And you can also do that at a later time. So if that seems like it's too much right now and you just want to get the accounting up and running, you can always go in and update and get connected for payments at a later time. It's very, very easy. We're going to skip that for now since I've walked you guys through that. Okay, this is where they're going to give you some more features, remind you to get the mobile app. Clearly, they want people to have the mobile app, so you can check that out. And they do have an ability for you to get paid faster through QuickBooks. I actually don't use this most of the time because they take a small percentage. So just before you sign up for anything like that, make sure you are reading the fine print and make sure that you are okay with what these offers are from QuickBooks. Okay, and it looks like this is just a little bit of a survey. I'm pretty confident, and I'm going to go forward. How much progress have you made towards what you want to do in QuickBooks? I don't feel like I've made a lot of progress so far, actually. Okay, so now they're actually going to go ahead and start setting this up for you. And this is kind of the beginning. This is everything. And so they will give you this option of doing a tour. I do recommend you go ahead and click through the tour. It does make sense to go through that. I'm not going to go through it right now, but it is going to kind of point out some key things for you. One really important thing to note is that if you are using my discount where you want to, after the first 30 days, you want to take advantage of that 30% discount for the full year, you do need to make sure that you've input your credit card information before your free trial ends. So go in here and go to Accounts and Settings. And then you'll go to Billing and Subscription. All right, so after you've clicked billing and subscription, you will see whatever you've signed up for here. So it'll also show you what that 30% discount is for the 12 months. So you can go ahead and check that, and then you can easily upgrade or downgrade from here. So if you realize, hey, I actually need some additional features, once you get really all of this set up, you can go ahead and upgrade. Or if you said, hey, I actually don't need all these features, you can downgrade your plan. So in order to lock in that rate, what you need to do is you need to click subscribe. And then when you get to this payment method screen, you'll go ahead and put in your credit card information here. And you do need to make sure that all of that is there and go ahead and save the payment method to your Intuit profile. And then, and you can read the fine print here, I authorize to the Intuit to charge my card on 10/21, which is actually 30 days from when I started this. So it's telling you that even if it's not like you start losing your free trial, once you put in your credit card information, you still get your 30-day free trial. So that way, if you change your mind, you say, hey, actually, I don't want QuickBooks, you can pull out of it. And then you would have to go in and cancel the plan. But you do need to have this saved in here. Otherwise, you will lose your discount. Another thing I want to make sure you see is do not click this save with annual plan, because if you do the math on this, it doesn't give the 30% discount. So you want to be on this where it shows your 30% discount. Okay? So make sure that's really clear. Keep an eye on that. Okay? Don't get charged the annual amount because you're not getting that 30%. All right? So hopefully that's what you need to do to make sure you're locked in on that 30% discount. One question I get a lot is when I do videos, I am not looking at the same view that you guys are looking at. So if you want to change to look at the view that I'm looking at, you will go to this little gear icon up here and then click to switch to accountant view. This is the sidebar that I use when I'm doing my tutorials, okay? So if you need to, or you can go back and switch back to business view. One complaint I've heard about business view is that people don't like that it seems like they're being sold to in this view. So you'll notice like this is kind of just showing things. Here's like a suggestion. Here's business insurance. They're probably going to try to sell business insurance. Get paid. Let's see if they have any offers anywhere here. Don't leave money on the table. Try QuickBooks Time. So some of these things people might not necessarily want to be sold to, and when they've already paid for an accounting software, which I understand. So if this is annoying to you, go ahead and look at the accountant view. Now, the other thing is if you're watching my tutorials, you might want to just go ahead and click to accountant view, even if normally you use the other view, just so it's easier to follow along when you're actually watching my videos. If you have gotten started, then you are probably at a place where you could do a couple things. You could go ahead and start to customize your chart of accounts. And I have a whole video on customizing your chart of accounts. So you go to accounting and then you'll go to chart of accounts. And this is where you can start customizing everything here. It's interesting. They have a different standardized chart of accounts now, which I find kind of interesting. It seems a little bit better than the old one, honestly. But there's lots of extra accounts in here now. It looks a little bit more like my chart of accounts at this point, which I'm not mad about, okay? So you can go through here and you can deactivate anything you won't use. Like let's say if you don't have a home office, you can take out all of that. If you don't have any vehicle expenses, you can go in here and make inactive for anything that you don't want to use. Or you can just leave everything there and then make things inactive down the road when you just realize you don't need them anymore. So customizing your chart of accounts would be a good next step. And then you really start to get into using the software. And that's where we get into banking. And then this is where we would see all of the transactions that have been uploaded. So this is why you need to connect accounts, or you need to directly upload transactions. So you can upload a CSV file or a bank statement file. Some banks actually have these upload files available for you. So you can see if you can download your bank details. If you're not getting directly connected, you might be able to upload your bank details directly from one of these file formats. So check for that. But you can either manually upload transactions or do it automatically. I highly, highly recommend making sure that these bank feeds are automatic, because you're more likely to get everything into the system if you're doing it automatically. And every now and then you do have to check, because sometimes things get disconnected, or if you change your password, things might get disconnected. So, it will give you an error if it's not uploading, but I highly recommend doing it automatically. I've never, ever had an issue with it where it causes any issue on the bank side, and it's a trustworthy connection. So I highly recommend that. If you can't, then manually upload your transactions, and that's always an option as well. Okay. And then I do have a whole separate video talking about actually categorizing things in the bank feed. And really, once you start categorizing things in the bank feed, you are up and running with your accounting system. And there's other things you can start using, like creating an invoice. You can go ahead and start tracking your expenses and do the whole bill pay thing. You can directly connect payroll here. You can also sync up most payroll systems with QuickBooks as well. So like Gusto and JustWorks, both of them have linkages to QuickBooks Online. So if you're using a separate payroll system, you probably have the option to have some type of linkage to your payroll system. But this should give you get you up and running with your new QuickBooks Online account. And I hope that this has been really helpful. And please, please let me know if you have any questions as you're getting things up and running. And I'm happy